for the message, prayer, and meditation.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I feel like it's warmed up in here. Almost. We're getting there. The topic for January is I am peace. I am the peace of God, which is the premise of A Course in Miracles, because the first Sunday of each month I present A Course in Miracles typically. And the Course in Miracles is all about building a foundation for inner peace. The introduction to A Course in Miracles talks about the only thing that's real is the peace of God. And anything that seems to be threatened is not real. So the only thing that ever seems to get threatened in us, though, are our egos, right? When we feel rejected, offended, defensive, we feel attacked, victimized, unfairly treated. That's a big thing. It's always the ego that's offended with those things. So to know that anytime I'm not experiencing the peace of God, it's because I've identified with the ego is very important. So when I'm saying I am peace, I'm identified with my spiritual reality. In unity, we talk about the Christ self, the self that we are that's beyond the body, that's the spirit self. That's what we really are, which is really the son, the child, the daughter of God. I am that peace. And the only way to really experience the peace of God is to ask for it. We need to ask for this peace. Sometimes it just comes. There'll be some grace. It'll just flow into our hearts, and our life will light up, and we'll feel good and happy. Maybe we'll let go of a grievance. Naturally, something miraculous will happen. But eventually it needs to get to the point where we're asking for this peace and remembering it and taking time out each day to meditate, to pray, to remind ourselves that we are the peace of God. And that's what the practices in the Course in Miracles are all about. That's what unity principles are about. That's what really every religion's about, is practicing over and over again until we experience peace consistently. And this peace is not something that comes from the world, though. It's not something that we're going to get from doing anything in the world ever. It's just our natural state. So I wrote a prayer about that. So we can begin with that. I don't think there's a bulletin this today. Is there? Do everyone have a bulletin? Yeah, we got one. Wonderful. Cool. That's great. Yeah, sheet of paper. Yep, one sheet of paper. There we go. Yep. God, guide us in accepting our divine peace, and let it create the world we see. We are here now to be reminded that we are peace. And in this remembrance, do we know the infinite power of the heart, letting it write a new script for humanity that will undo conflict and fear one instant at a time. Let the peaceful rivers of consciousness flow through each of us, restoring health, harmony, and ease to all that we see, feel, say, and do. Amen. So you notice in that prayer, I'm acknowledging humanity. So when we accept this peace, we're affecting humanity energetically, through light, through accepting ourselves as God created, because there's only one mind. Another principle of unity is that there aren't all these separate beings throughout the galaxy. It seems that way. There's billions of bodies, objects, things around us that seem separate. But as we perceive spiritual vision, which is the goal of the Course in Miracles too, is the goal of practices, we start to see the oneness of things, see the connection between these bodies, the air, everything. We just feel a palpable peace around us. So when we accept that peace, we're awakening it within others. And this is a miraculous thing. This is how miracles come into our lives. This is how, these things with the weather, these people come and help us, through our day. Maybe we get offered a position at a job that we didn't even think we wanted, Maybe a new relationship comes into our life that's just a huge blessing. We learn a lot from this person that in the past we may have judged that person. So this how it's done. It's not done through any magic. It's simply just being ourselves. It seems like these miracles that happen in our lives are magical. I mean, we can call them that, but they're really just natural. Miracles are natural. And the peace of God is natural. It's our natural state. War, conflict, attacking people, judging people, all those things are really unnatural. Even though they seem natural, okay? If you look up in the news, the media, Facebook, some of those things, it seems very natural to attack, gossip, judge, have drama all the time. It seems very natural. That's why this world is upside down. All right? Of course, talks about that, being an upside down world. What seems to be the things that we desire and love and find pleasure in are actually the unnatural things. Okay, getting high off certain entertainments and stuff like that, pleasures in the world, finding this and that, and achieving that, and being recognized for all these different things. You know, careers, driving from the stress and all this stuff that creates the world we see is unnatural. So when we start to go into peace, what I'm getting at here is it may seem a little disorienting, okay? Experiencing the peace of God on a regular basis. We might still want to feel attracted to the drama again. We feel lost at times because there's nothing going on. It might even seem boring at times. That's why when you meditate, you might have some results at first. You feel some peace, but once you get into practice more regularly, it might feel a little boring at times, meditating. Okay? Because you're feeling some of that discomfort inside. The part of you that still wants drama, still wants things to be exciting at times, these extremes, highs and lows and all that stuff. And those are fun to ride, but if we identify with those extremes as our happiness, that's when we suffer. So we can go with the flow and experience whatever highs and lows, but not to see them as our happiness or the goal, all right? The goal is the middle way, like Buddhism talks about the middle way, okay? So we're not trying to deny the pleasures of the world or reject things here. We're looking for the balance, all right? But who creates the balance? I don't create the balance. The human mind doesn't create the balance. Spirit creates the balance for us. Okay. In the Bible, it says that Jesus says, "Ask for anything in my name, and I will do it, because I want to glorify the Father through the Son." The Father gets glorified through the Son means me, means you. So the light, Father, is being experienced through the body. It's the instrument of peace. It was in the reading there. So that's how people identify with the light, okay, is you being it. You asking for the peace of God and being it in the world. While you're, on the phone at work and some customer calls, it's really dramatic. It has a problem. And instead of reacting and judging that person and getting upset, you accept the peace of God in that moment and bring peace to that situation. That's a demonstration of glorifying the Father. It's that simple. It's not something real profound. I mean, it could be different. You could be in a room with someone that's dying of cancer and they're like in so much agonizing pain, and you accept the peace, and for some reason, that miracle flows into them and they experience peace too in transition. It's something like that too, but to God it doesn't matter. They're not different. Helping the person relax on the phone and helping the person transition to dying in the body are no different to spirit. Okay? Miracles are all the same. All right? And that's what the mind can't understand that. But it's good to know that when we're applying things, it's like one's not more difficult than the other. Okay? It's simply about accepting peace in any situation and practicing it. So not to think that there's certain things that God can't help you with. This is the delusion in my life. Well, I don't think that can be undone. Man, my friend, she's been like that for 50 years. She is so miserable. There's nothing that can be done about it. And when we say that, that's what we experience. Or we say, well, this is just how I've been for the last 20 years. Nothing can be done about it. We've got to watch our mind. We tolerate this misery that goes through it. When we say that, that's what we get. So if I ask for something from the ego, I'm going to get it too, just like when I ask for things from Jesus. But it's about sincerely asking for them. It's not about just saying. And that was the lesson in the Course in Miracles that I picked for this month. It's about that. You can see there's scripture. Workbook lesson 185 says, "I want the peace of God." How many here have said that before? I want to experience the peace. I want to, yeah. And in that moment, have you? Like, right at that moment? Yeah. Because you sincerely meant it. But then there's probably been other times where you say, I want to be more loving. I want to be healed. I want this. I want that. You just say it, but do you really mean it? Okay? And I don't think, personally, that I can make myself mean those things. Okay? I need help in that. That's why I ask God to even help me mean it. Right? So, I'm going to read just the first few paragraphs in this lesson. It says, I want the peace of God. To say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. If you could but mean them for just an instant, there would be no further sorrow possible for you in any form, in any place or time. Heaven would be completely given back to full awareness, memory of God entirely restored, the resurrection of all creation fully recognized. No one can mean these words and not be healed. He cannot play with dreams nor think he is a dream himself. He cannot make a hell and think it's real. He wants the peace of God and it is given to him. For that is all he wants, and that is all he will receive. Many have said these words, but few indeed have meant them. You have but to look upon the world you see around you to be sure how very few there are. The world would be completely changed should any two agree these words express the only thing they want. So, key point here, when we agree, two of us, it's all it's needed, that we want the peace of God together, we want love and prayer together, that the world is going to be totally different. That's all that's needed to really start a church. In AA, 12-step program, they say they only need 2 people to start a meeting. Right? I mean, that's all you need. Because the presence of God, there's that oneness there. You're flowing with it. It says, 2 minds with one intent become so strong that what they will becomes the will of God. For minds can only join in truth. In dreams, no 2 can share the same intent. To each, the hero of the dream is different, and the outcome wanted not the same for both. Loser and gainer merely shift about in changing patterns, as the ratio of gain to loss and loss to gain takes on a different aspect or another form. And then, what it means by dreams, if you're understanding with the Course, is just your personal reality, your perception of things. You know, what I think is valuable to me may be different than Shelley or anyone else. It's just like we want these certain things, and we're not really going to share on that level. But we're going to share in the spiritual realm, okay? We're always in communication there. And that's where we're joining at. And we're celebrating it. That's what it's like. A service, a true service, is celebrating the light of the world, that we are together as one. It's not about one person. It's about celebrating it together, always. I think I might have mentioned this a little while ago, but I went to a Kundalini class, and they were talking about the fellowship, and I really was impressed by that. The Kundalini yoga is about experiencing the Kundalini, the flows of light through the spine and aligning your spine with the energy and breathing right and techniques, but also I guess Kundalini is about the fellowship of people, all right, beyond the physical stuff. All right, we don't always think about that with yoga. Yoga is seen as like, you know, yoga pants, looking good, have physical postures, all that stuff in the media. So, but true yoga is about union with God, all right? And Kundalini yoga is about, you know, a fellowship. We're doing this together. We're experiencing yoga together. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, we cannot wake up alone. So if we're accepting the peace of God, simply just being in this moment, whatever it is, our world will change. No doubt about it. It will begin changing. Things will start unraveling and folding in your life without you really doing any work on the outer level. All right? It's all inner, because your inner world is what's creating the outer. So when you start to change your inner, the outer is going to change. Things are going to shift. And that's when we get into these so-called judgments, and we feel maybe unfairly treated because change is starting to occur on the outer, and we say, well, why didn't call for that? Well, you accepted the peace of God, and maybe there was things in your life that were upsetting or no longer served or useless, and they're getting undone, transformed, and all that. So you did ask for it, all right? And to be mindful that we did ask for these things. Course in Miracles talks about anything that seems to come into my life, I have chosen. That's a tough one. I don't like that sometimes. But the way I see it, and when it comes into my life, I choose how I see it when it comes into my life. And I can actually see sometimes how I've activated certain things. My unworthiness sometimes with my nursing profession. I can acknowledge that sometimes that unworthiness in my nursing profession creates conflict with relationships with my colleagues and stuff. I can tell that, and how it also brings drama up in other areas of my career. Like this sense of like being judged, this guilt. The only judgment that God has of us is that we're guiltless. All right? That's the judgment God has of us. But sometimes we don't see ourselves that way. We identify with the ego. Often, to be honest, we don't see ourselves that way. If we did, we'd experience what that little paragraph was saying. Heaven, health, all that being restored. So we are experiencing guilt. It's often unconscious. We don't feel fully alive in ourselves. If I can't go into a room and just sit next to anyone I see in that room, no matter who they are, just be completely at peace with them, I don't need to say anything. I don't need to stir up some social conversation, some superficial dialogue, none of that. Just need to be able to sit next to them, any place, and just feel at peace. Then I got some healing I still need to do. I shouldn't be scared of any of my brothers and sisters here. Remember, going back to the peace of God, we're one mind here. Why should I be frightened of anyone? In the promises of the 12-step program, it says that the fear of people and economic insecurity will leave you. All right, if you practice your own spiritual awakening. So being scared of anyone, or feeling inferior to anyone or superior to anyone, Donald Trump, all that, it's like I'm not better or worse than him. All right, I'm not better or worse than any of the athletes, anyone in the world, in any position. I should be able to feel an equality with them. That's the true peace of God. Okay, and to see that, and to stand. It's not about letting people walk all over us. The peace of God is powerful. All right, it's going to awaken the peace in that other person at some level, just maybe when you're around them, so you can relax. It's about a celebration together. So let's affirm that now. You can just listen along here with the affirmation. So, peace is my natural state. To have peace, I must awaken from any form of fearful sleeping and teach peace. I am the peace of God. My peace cannot be threatened because it does not come from this world. Demonstrating inner peace to others is a sure sign that I'm learning how miracles replace grievances and judgments. So we already talked about that. Demonstrating inner peace to others, to myself, is how I'm going to learn about miracles. That's what really, that's the foundation for A Course in Miracles. Just a beautiful, wonderful life, and it's a prescription for heaven. You want to enter heaven, that's a prescription right there. It's the equation there, is practicing inner peace. All right? But it's not peace like I'm controlling I really want to emphasize, not about having everything right in your life, controlling things at any level, like having your needs met. You can have inner peace whether the heat's on or not. It's easier to accept it when it is, of course. But there's people that I've met in institutions, in jail, all sorts of places that experience peace. Okay, deep peace. And I wrote here in bold here, if you can see the print, I don't know if it came up in bold, but it's under the spiritual practice questions and meditation. It says, be willing to go to any lengths to make the necessary changes in your life to experience God's peace. So if God's peace is the only thing that's real and valuable, why wouldn't I be willing to go to any lengths to experience it? Okay, that's the only thing that's really going to make me happy. So let's just do a quick meditation on that. Let's use the mantra, I am peace. Repeat that to yourself, in your heart. Even bring some attention to any area in your body or your mind that's feeling heavy, contracted, any anxiety, stress, and you can say that mantra there. I am peace. And you can do some self-inquiry here. being mindful of any thoughts that you feel that are unpeaceful, anxiety-provoking, even a slight annoyance about something or someone. Anything that disturbs this peace. And maybe here you can affirm that you're ready to go to some lengths, maybe not any lengths, but some lengths to undo this. Give space to any of the anxiety. Don't react to it. Don't wish it weren't there. It's there. Don't try to escape from it. Embrace it. Give it space. Deep breathe, that's helpful. Say, I am peace. You can also add related thoughts like peace is health. Be healthy, then I will accept peace. Now just do a little guided imagery here with the peace. Use your imagination to help you imagine being surrounded by peace throughout your whole body. Again, any area that has tension, stress, anxiety, hurts, pain, any of that, just bring the peace to it. Imagine being surrounded by it. From your head to your toe, in the air around you, throughout this room. Imagine this whole church just being sustained by this field of peace. And then just continue to expand that awareness and that imagination outward to the city of Edinboro, to the state, the whole world. Take it all the way up, as far as you can go. You have no more images. It's just vastness. Just continually expanding through eternity. And also tell yourself by accepting this peace, whatever is needed in your life will be manifested. This aligns you with what you want and need in your life. Inner peace. Be thankful for that. Thank you for participating in that meditation. I found a scripture in the Bhagavad, difficult time pronouncing that, Bhagavad Gita, the Gita, Hindu text. You can see here at the bottom it says, through His grace you shall attain supreme peace, the eternal dwelling. It's the same thing as the Bible scriptures. Through the peace of God, we shall attain eternal life. Following that peace wherever it goes, that's how you will experience your portal to eternity. That's it. It's that simple. Complicated. That's all I got. Thank you for letting me celebrate with you all. I love you. And I will see you again on, I think it's January 28th. I'm going to be here again.
What came to mind when I did the meditation just now was the affirmation of I am peace and let go, let God. So that's going to be my affirmation this week. So I ask you to join me. If everyone would repeat after me and say, I am peace.
I am peace.
Let go, let God.
Let go, let God. Thank you.
So I invite you to keep that affirmation with you. God is always present, always active.